that is the truth, and that's what you need to understand. So when I come before you and tell you I have a vacant position, I'm not asking for something for me or for my attorneys. I'm asking for something for our clients, because that's why we exist, to take care of our clients. And that's all I have to say at this point, unless you have any questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other members of the public want to speak?
John Graff, John C. Graff, speaking as a citizen, I believe, at this time. I would like just to say a few things. First of all, I believe in the sheriff's presentation, he did go through and show you how many times in the last year that he has saved and reduced money, and it wasn't just one place. So I guess what I'd have to say is, by the aggressiveness of one of the supervisors here, I would assume that because he did a good job getting to where he was now, that he's not going to get a good mark or a good grade because he's got nothing left on the table to give you. I think he demonstrated that he's trying to save money. I think he demonstrated being a team player. And you know, I think a team player would probably buy into the MTO like you've asked other people to do. As far as other things go, you know, it wasn't only a couple of weeks ago that on a 4 out of 5 vote, you increased your own expenses. So yeah, I'm a little upset right now because I thought that the sheriff here got beat up pretty good, and I thought that you were way too aggressive in the fact that you know, making it out like he's not a team player, and I don't think that's the case at all. I think he works hard, and I think his presentation proved that he was trying to cut expenses. Now, on the other hand, getting off the emotion just for a second, I'm really pleased that we're all coming together and realizing that the budgets are important as they are, because a minute ago it was said nobody saw the downturn coming and no one predicted it, and I would like you to all go back to the minutes of the budget session last year when I challenged your projection of your revenues for the new year, which sets your budget. So Supervisor Smith, there was somebody that did say to you at that time that you needed to question the revenues that the budgets were built around in that last session.
Yeah. Comment. I don't really want to get it back and forth with public expression, but
Well, I'd like to leave one comment on the record there. That
Sure.
Mr. Graff and I agree on that. The reason I voted against the budget is because I didn't think there was enough debt reduction. I didn't think we were sufficiently addressing what I saw at the time were beginning of revenue decline. So I think we're together on that, and that's why I voted against the budget.
any other members of the public want to speak?
Good afternoon. My name is Kirk Mason, and many of you may or may not know me. I've been with the county for 20 years. I'm currently a member of McLima. And prior to being a member of McLima, I was with DSA, and with DSA, I was the president of DSA for 12 years. So I was involved in the negotiation process of many, many contracts. Within the next month or so, I'll be the lead negotiator for McLima. My purpose of coming up here is to state that previously Ms. McClure talked about McLima and her villainization of McLima is unfair. And some of the information that I feel that should be provided to the board simply inaccurate. The fact of the matter is that McLima has agreed to some concessions, and it's the similar concessions of that of DSA, with the exception of one item. And McLima, I believe, was the very first bargaining unit to agree to MTO days. Every single member of my small unit gave an MTO day, or at the time it was a VTO day, prior to any meet and confer sessions. Now, I don't want to go into the meet and confer sessions, the details of that, because that's all confidential information, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to set the board clear that McLima has worked with the county in concessions as requested, and the same, although our monetary value is not the same as DSA's, because frankly, with DSA, you're talking about a membership of approximately 120. I'm sure it fluctuates from pay period to pay period. McLima has agreed to the same concessions that DSA agreed to early on. Thank you.
Any members of the public?
Dottie Copeland, Ukiah. It's my observation that all departments are not operating the same way, and yet they're being asked to respond in the same way. It seems some are operating from bare bones staffing and others are not. Some are providing mandatory services only, and some are providing non-mandatory services, and I haven't heard that discussed. The mystery to me is public health. It was early on taken off the list because they had what was called a reserve budget, so they didn't have a problem. I don't understand how public health has a reserve budget or what it is and whether it's available to other parts of the county or not, but I hope that's something that you'll look into. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other members?
Linda McClure with SEIU. I clearly pushed a few buttons, and I would like to say that the information that I am working on is what was given to me in the meet and confer process by the team. Those were the two bargaining units that were referenced as not signing MOU or not signing MTO agreements, and not coming up with their share, and the $250,000 was the amount that was given to us. So if those departments are in fact contributing, I do encourage that that information be made available to you and to the rest of the county workers. I'm just going off what was told to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public want to speak on this? Okay, with that, Allison, we need to push this along here, and the sheriff needs some answers on some specific issues.
I understand that.
I think we need to do that before we move on with this process.
Okay, if I could just say one thing, because a comment was made about not having information regarding McLima. That is part of what I was going to say in my presentation, so I will at least put on the record that we have been in discussions with DSA and McLima, and we have the latest information from the public attorneys, and that you need to know that they are part of the discussions. And if that's all you wish me to say at this point, I will. But if you look at what's in front of you, it kind of goes through the decision-making points that I think that you want to go through.
Don't you agree, though, that we need to give the sheriff some answers on his specific issues before we go into this next presentation?
This is not the next presentation. If you'll look at the sheet in front of you.
Well, okay, then do you think that you want to go through this before we give the sheriff his answers?
The sheriff's answers are part of this. I think, for example, you need to know that the animal control officers.
Then move forward then.
Okay. So you've got the recap of the shortfall here. $900,000 is the bottom line. Again, it's an estimate. So you've got the HHSA shortfall. You're aware of that. The action you took this morning is part of the phasing in by July 1, 2009. That's the next level. Acting on the general fund shortfall, we're implementing the 10% MGO, enforcing the hiring freeze, working with departments to reduce budget overruns, and that's what you've been focusing your discussion on today, and then planning for any layoffs that might be necessary to address the remaining shortfall. Now, what's on the next sheet is options. I want to be very clear, it's options for board consideration, and interestingly enough, they match up with the areas that the sheriff has identified that he would like answers on. So, option, freeze or not freeze, hiring through June 30th, 2009 in the sheriff's office. What you need to know with the background of that is that the animal control officers were included in the mid-year update as being funded.